What's up, you guys? This is Jay Young02 back with another video, and in this video I'm going to be discussing the truth about Paul George. Enjoy. Well, Paul George, as we all know, is one of the league's best two-way players. This guy, he's drastically improved his game over the years, and obviously last year he was in that contention for MVP. He finished in the top 3 in the voting. He had a really good season. He had the best season of his NBA career. I even made a video on him about his MVP case. During that time, he was just hot. The man was just on a mission during that time. But obviously, with him on the Oklahoma City Thunder, what was the same problem that, we've been talking about for Paul George for a while now? And it's just, some of his playoff performances are really bad. Last season, with Oklahoma, he averaged 28 points a game in that series. But it was just in those crucial moments when you thought that he could really, take over the game. Especially when Russell Westbrook is not really shooting efficiently from the field, which is something that has happened a lot. And we all know how bad it was this season for Paul George. I mean, last year he averaged 28.6 points in all the total games he played in the playoffs. And this year, in the 13 games he played, he only averaged 20.2 points a game compared to the numbers that he's had over the seasons. And then you look at his field goal percentage for those games, he only shot 39.8%. This was by far one of his worst playoff performance years in his entire NBA career. A lot of people are saying now he could end up becoming the next Dwight Howard and things like that, and I somewhat disagree with that because obviously he's a star player and he's still in his prime, and it doesn't look like he's slowing down. But just next season, Paul George is going to have to come out a lot of a better player. He's only 29 years old still, so this man, he's still in his prime and he's still playing at a high level, but you have to turn into that next man that your team really needs him to be. In those moments where, some guys may be not shooting well from the field. Kawhi, this was the same thing for him. Paul George needs to be that guy when the team needs him. Kawhi brought him to the Clippers for a reason. These two are some of the best two-way players in the game. I mean, look at Game 7. Look at the performance what he had in Game 7 against the Nuggets. That was absolutely unacceptable. And then you take onto the account that this is not the only game that he's played really bad in the playoffs. In the first round against the Mavericks, he's had some bad games, but he finally starts to pick things up. But still, when his team needed him in those games, they could have easily won those games and took care of them. That's why he has to step up in those moments when they really need him the most. On the Pacers, Paul George was the superstar player. He was the guy, but he still could never really get his team past LeBron in the playoffs. But obviously it's LeBron, and that's something he really can't control, and his team was way better. But, coming back from that devastating injury, Paul George has played, even better. This just seems like a problem each and every season in his NBA career right now, though, about him and his playoff performances. This is just something that he's got to step up and do. He's a good regular season player right now, but it's like, even when the stats look good in those games that his team needs him the most, this man needs to step up more. It's just that simple, in my opinion. He's a good player. As I said, he's one of the best players in the league, one of the best two-way players in basketball. He has all the gifts. This guy can literally fit on any NBA team he wants to play on, he can play on. But he just doesn't have that clutch gene like how Kawhi does or the LeBrons in the world. He just doesn't have that, in my opinion, personally. But next season, the Clippers, they're going to have to come back a better team, and obviously they're going to have to get rid of a few pieces on this team, because when you have locker room issues, it's hard to fix those things overnight. They're going to have to do something in this offseason, and definitely next season, Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, they're both going to have to play more. Kawhi, and he's been on this low management stuff, but Paul George, I know injury is something that you really can't control, but these two are going to have to play a lot more next season, especially if they want to compete for the NBA championship. You can't say things like, we knew this year that, we probably weren't really going to make it that far, stuff like that. You can't say things like that because everybody already put those expectations on this team, especially to compete for an NBA championship this season, because they had all the pieces on their roster to do so. This was the best team on paper in the entire NBA, but they did not live up to those expectations this season. So next year, this team's going to have to come back even better. And if they lose next season, then something, in my opinion, is going to happen again. But Paul George is going to have to come back next season, especially in the playoffs. He's going to have to play harder. This is something that's been happening every single year now. His efficiency drops and just his overall production isn't as the same. Really just his overall consistency, He has hot games and he has cold games. This is something that he's going to have to fix. We can't be having these games where, he's 10 for 15 from the field, but then the next game he's 9 for 23 from the field. He's going to start getting more consistent with his play. And I know you can't, control everything, but this is something that he's going to do. Kawhi is an efficient player from the field. He shoots very efficient, smart shots. And Paul George, he has that same type of style, but he still misses a lot of these shots. And you got to look into the account that the Clippers, they gave up their future for this man. They literally gave up 7 unprotected first-round picks. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who's a really good player, and Danilo Gallinari. This man, he's going to have to step up next season. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. He's going to have to come back way better next season, and the Clippers team as a whole. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Have a great day. Peace.